Hi, this is Joe Tate, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix at AOL.com. That's thesportsfix at AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
And away we go, off and running today. Welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, smiling through the radio. Hopefully you can hear it. I've always gotten a kick out of that expression in the radio, but it's so true, hearing the smile through the voice. But I'm feeling good because, knock on wood, it's been a great morning. Everything beautiful outside. Beautiful inside the studio. The computers appear to be in a good, friendly mood with us today and everything. So I did all the due diligence last night. Updated and re-updated and just did all the little things I could do. I said, let's not have a catastrophe. I'm even going to say how much I want Nick Swisher to come back from rehab today. We're doing all the T's and the I's and all that stuff. But welcome in, you guys. Let's have some fun. We have got a whole lot to get into. We've got phones blowing up already. We're going to take some phone calls. We've got Jeff Gorman. We've got Dr. Football. We're going to do all kinds of the thing. We got the Cavaliers, and I'm stalling, but we're got a little bit of ugliness to talk about. Man, last night, you guys, I didn't want to just hammer it right off the bat, although it could be worse. You could be Bryan Price. And I'll tell you, if you did not hear the manager for the Reds last night, I've got it for you. We're going to play it here. I'll tell you what, publicly it probably sounded what Terry Francona sounded like privately last night. But we've got lots of things to get into as we're sitting here. Game 2, Cavaliers tonight, Indians. Just a ninth inning debacle. And you know me, and I'm always the glass half full guy, but do you jump off the ledge? And I am so upset about how they lost that game last night. It was so just watching it unravel. But and we'll get into all of that here momentarily. But man, part of me says the other 8 innings made me feel good about the way things were progressing until and I know that's a cheesy way to look at it because you blew a 3-run lead in the 9th inning unbelievably. But you look at the outstanding start by Trevor Bauers. The bullpen held temporarily until the dam exploded in the 9th there, but the offense contributed just enough. I mean, I saw enough that if you took the bottom of the 9th inning away, you come out of that thing going, hey, all right, that's a good way to start digging your way out of the early season trench that we started to dig. And then I know how ugly it was. Man, I don't even know where to start talking about what went wrong in that 9th inning there. I can tell you what went wrong. 7 straight hits is what went wrong. And yeah, Bruce in the chat room right off the bat. Too many appearances last year is really starting to rear its ugly head early on with some of these guys, as many people talked about here in the preseason leading up to things. But the other 8 innings make me go, man, how do you look past the decent part as well, because that was such a great, we'll get into it. I've got to do the intros and stuff. We're not even going to dive into it yet. Jeff Gorman will be with us in the next segment of the show, and we'll talk Indians with Jeff as well. So a lot to get into there. Tons of things to do. So how about we get off and running and doing it? I see phone lines already starting to ring here. So let's do it. Welcome in, my friends. to the Sports Fix. I am your host, as I said a few minutes ago, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers. Call me what you will. Call me. Happy to have you here with us each and every weekday at noon. That is now live across the Sports Fix radio network. Maybe that means you're listening live on TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app worldwide. Everything's working today. On Spreaker, on Mixler, their websites, their respective digital and mobile apps. Or maybe you're on our website, the home base for us, thesportsfix.net. If you haven't already, make sure you bookmark it. It's a great backup site. The show automatically streams live every day at noon right on our website. You don't have to click a button or push anything. You just go to thesportsfix.net. Plus, it's got all of our bios and links, our social media. It's tied right there. Old archives of the show, new archives, it's all right there. Thesportsfix.net. And welcome in thousands of you guys and growing every day around the world 24/7. The on-demand audience listening in digital delay around the world on sites like iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio network, on iTunes and Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud, on CarPlay, on all of the different sites, places, formats, podcast feeders, all the different things you do to get your fix. Thank you guys so much for doing it, for spreading the word. New people continue to come on board, and I hear from them all the time. Nothing makes my day more than hearing from somebody that's listening, or not even just listening for the first time, although that's great, just in general reaching out to us for the first time. I love that, especially when they go, oh no, I've been listening since whenever, and this is just the first time I've ever gotten a hold of you. I love that. Make sure you guys do that. Stay in touch. Be a part of the show, because we say it all the time. It's not a gimmick or a marketing catchphrase. You are the voice, the heart, the soul of the Sports Fix. So do that. Take advantage of it. Not everybody means it. We do. Whether it's on the phones, 216-539-7535, 216-539-7535, Facebook and Twitter, Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. And by the way, the hotline, it's 24/7. If you're not listening live, leave your take just as if you were listening live, and we'll play it on an upcoming episode of the Sports Fix. Again, 216-539-7535, Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. I've got some calls in the queue. I may actually go to the phones before I totally dive into the autopsy of last night and what we saw with the Indians there. Matter of fact, let's do that before we get anything else going. I'm going to let you guys set the tone of things here. We've got a lot of things to get into. Cavaliers, big game 2 tonight. Man, but I'll get into it later. How about David Blatt just getting glossed over? You knew he wasn't going to win the Coach of the Year, but doesn't even show up in the top at all. We'll get into all of that, guys, but I'm going to let you guys set the tone of things here, and I'm going to go to the phones right off the bat. Caller, you are first up here on the Sports Fix. What's your name? Where are you from? And what are we talking about?
Hi, this is Betty from Grafton. How are you?
Betty! What's up, Betty? How you doing?
Oh, really good. Well, you know, Cavaliers, playoffs. I mean, we were at the game Sunday, and let me tell you, it's been a long time since I've seen that kind of action at the Q.
I like how you think. We're starting with the Cavaliers. All right, Betty, fired up for game 2 tonight. You were there Monday. I had a lot of friends that were there, too. Like you said, it's one thing to be full. There's been some sellouts this season. There's been a parade back in October, but that atmosphere was a bit raucous to start the game. Although I did have some people that said during the game there were some points that they said, man, you know, like when Jacobs Field got hot, and then all of a sudden it wasn't the baseball fans that were there anymore. It was the people that wanted to be there because it was the cool thing to do. I had some people tell me that there were some moments, and maybe it's because it's the Celtics and there wasn't as much tension in that. And I'm sure that building will ratchet up as you get into a series like the Bulls or something like that. But my friend did tell me, he goes, man, it kind of had that Jacobs Field in the 90s feel where a lot of the people were there because it was the cool thing to do. But regardless, the beginning of the game, all of that, great atmosphere. I'm with you, man.
It was. I mean, they start losing in the beginning, but it was like, wow. They cannot lose against the Celtics. Celtics, I mean, they're not bad. Celtics are good, but they don't have the old players in it. So once the cue started going, once it was rocking, I mean, the towels, the batons, and Wow, I actually got a suite with my son. I was one of those few people that got tickets last week. One of those few. And my son works at Sandwich Joe, and his boss and them got us in the suite. I mean, it was
there. We
cool.
go.
It was rocking. I was surprised too. He said, "I did that for you, Mom." But anyways,
there you go. That's a good son right there. That's a good son right there.
Oh, he is. Joseph's very good. He's
So
one
you
got
ready
me
for
into all
tonight?
this. Thanks, Joseph.
You ready for tonight? Are you going to the game?
I love
What's up?
Huh?
You going to the game tonight?
No, I don't have tickets or anything.
Oh, there we go. But you're ready. You're fired up for some Cavs hoops. Do you think the Cavaliers make it 2-0 heading into Boston?
Yes.
All
yes.
right.
I think so. I believe they will. I do believe that we will. I don't think we're going to sweep this series. I think Boston will win one up there. I mean, I'm not hoping that, but I'm thinking Boston will win one, and we'll go meet the Bulls next round. That's a little scarier.
Well, there we go.
Go
Absolutely. The Bulls are looking good. Jimmy Butler had, 31 last night. The Bulls look good. They're going to probably sweep the Bucks. But I'm with you, Betty. It's a good start to things, and it should be an exciting game tonight. I can hear the excitement in your voice as you call in here. Anything else before we go?
No, but thank you for having me out again. And go Cavs. And I'm going to say go Bulls also because I want to see them. A lot of people disagree with me, but I want to see them together. My
there
two favorite teams, Cavs being number one.
That's
if Kyrie plays like he did on Sunday night, wow. Sunday afternoon, wow. LeBron did good too. But what? Excuse me?
No, go ahead.
I'm going to be honest with you. I know we've talked about LeBron in the past, but I truly believe that if LeBron wouldn't have come back, we might have not got Moskov and Smith.
Maybe LeBron had a tiny bit to do with things. All right, Betty, I appreciate the call.
Anytime. I'll talk to you again soon. Go Cavs and go Bulls in this round.
I know what you're saying. You want to see the Cavs and the Bulls. I got you. All right, Betty, you have a good one. Go Cavs is right. See, let's start off with the good positive note, and we're going to talk a ton more. We'll preview that game here coming up, the Cavaliers tonight. As I mentioned, by the way, David Blatt. No love for David Blatt here. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron got more votes for Coach of the Year. And I'm joking, but because of that narrative that was spelled out, I thought maybe David Blatt would get a little bit more love, but no, not happening. Budenholzer from the Atlanta Hawks ended up being named the NBA's Coach of the Year. He got 67 out of 130 first-place votes here. Nipped out Steve Kerr for the NBA's Coach of the Year. Like I said, I figured those two would be the top two. Obviously, you got the highest number of wins on each side there, and I figured maybe there would be where Coach Blatt would dive in there. But no, Jason Kidd finished third with the job that he did with the Bucks. Brad Stevens, and I can dig that argument as well with Brad Stevens. He did a good job with what he's done, especially late season with the Celtics, as we've seen, getting them into this position to take on the Cavaliers. And, of course, Coach Pop finished fifth here, but no love for David Blatt. I didn't expect anything differently, even though I perhaps held out a little bit of sideway hope here. But we'll talk some more about the Cavs, as I said, here in a little bit. Don't worry, tons to get into. It's game two. A couple of game twos that happened yesterday. I mentioned that Chicago Bulls game is, boy, they're looking strong early, and they're looking like they're going to try to cut that thing short and get ready for what could be potentially one of the best, really the best in the East of all the matchups. Doesn't matter what round it would have happened in. And what I say could be the true Eastern Conference final, in my opinion anyway, Bulls and the Cavs, that a lot of people are already starting to look ahead to. And Jimmy Butler looking good, the Bulls looking good, and Milwaukee. I didn't think Milwaukee had much of a chance to win more than a game in that series. They didn't finish strong in the season as it is. They kind of treaded water after a surprising start to things. I think they messed up the chemistry of their team a little bit with the trades that they made, and Jason Kidd did do a good job, but in the end of the day, there's Chicago's rolling. That second round, that is going to be a battle between presumptively the Cavs and the Bulls. Also, the Warriors. Pelicans gave them a look last night, but down the stretch, Golden State made the plays. It was a one-point game right down to it, but Golden State made the plays. They go up 2-0 there. They're going to have a fight, but they're going to take care of business in that series. But I told you guys, for everybody that was talking about a sweep, maybe they still end up winning this series in that number of games, but it would not be an easy sweep or an easy 5-game series. The Pelicans are definitely making the Warriors work a little bit there in that one. So a couple more game twos down tonight. You got the Cavs in Boston. You got Washington and Toronto, and Washington has a chance to really go out there and do something. I think Washington is really underrated when it came to looking into that series, because before the season, I thought they had a chance to make some noise. Washington, Toronto, and Dallas and Houston, too. We'll talk some more hoops here in a little bit. We're going to talk Indians. I'm going to talk about the Indians in a minute. That game was so ugly, the way the ninth inning went down, and then what a contrast to the rest of the game. Not only did Trevor Bauer have his stuff rolling, but he got the effectively wild. You know what? He just got the wild part out of there, as he was very much in control, and that's a heck of a promising sign for the Indians. I've got Jeff Gorman. He's coming up in a few minutes from Indians101.com, and we'll really get into that game. But I'll use that to segue into the other thing I wanted to talk about here in the first segment. Anyway, did you guys check out Bryan Price, the manager, the manager for the Cincinnati Reds last night? Upset about several things going on, about things that he's discussed with reporters then being put out. And I will say this, as being in the media side, some of the things that he's angry about, there's nothing that you can really do about in today's culture. And really, he doesn't like that people feel that their job is to report everything that happens. But there's people who do feel that that's their job. And we can argue semantics of what your actual job description is and all of that. And in today's era, to think that you can hold back and suppress things, it just doesn't happen, even though I understand exactly where he's coming from. I totally do, and it feels like you're being sabotaged from the inside, because the reporters that are supposed to be, even though they're not fans of your team, they're supposed to be the Cincinnati Reds beat reporters or whatever, and you feel that they're putting out information that's detrimental to what you're doing. Coaches deal with that all the time. It's life in the media in 2015. So he's really complaining about something that's really not complainable about, although you can understand the frustration and where he's coming from. But like I said, privately, I'm willing to bet Terry Francona had a similar sounding conversation, even if he may have been talking about a different topic in the ninth inning of last night's game, the way that thing fell apart. But yeah, this audio here, I pulled it up. It's about almost 5 minutes long. And Bryan Price, he dropped they recorded 77 F-bombs in the process of this, plus a litany of other expletives sprinkled in. And you know me, it's like I'm an appreciative, like George Carlin, of all the ways that you can sprinkle up a conversation with a zestily timed bomb here and there. But he went with 77 of them, here, there, and everywhere. I want to play this audio. We'll take a break. We'll get Jeff Gorman in. We'll talk some Indians from last night, and we'll get rolling with this bad boy. But check this out. This is right down the corridor here from Cleveland, a few hours south. Bryan Price, manager of the Cincinnati Reds, with the media here. This is one of those priceless clips of audio that will be played. This goes right up there with, you'll hear this years later, like Denny Green, they are who we thought they were, all those things. This will be one of those down the road. Check this out. Bryan Price in a meeting with the media here yesterday.
Look, I don't need you guys to be fans of the Reds. I just need to know that if there's something that we want to keep here, that it stays here. We don't need to know that Tucker Barnhart's in the airport when we haven't spoken to Kyle Skipworth. I think we owe that kid the right to be called and told that he's going to be sent down, as opposed to reading that Tucker Barnhart's on his way from Louisville. I don't get it. I don't get why it's got to be this way. Has it always been this way, where we just tell everybody everything? So every opponent that we have has to know exactly what we have, which relievers are available, which guys are here and which guys aren't here, when they can play, what they can do. It's nobody's business. It's certainly not the opponent's business. We've got to deal with this bullshit. I'd like to talk, and I have spoken as candidly as I can with you people. If that's not good enough, I won't say a thing. I'll go yes sir, no sir, and I can do that. But I've been as candid as I can be about this team and our players, and we got to deal with this. Every team that we play has to know every guy that's here and what they can and can't do. Me. It's a disgrace. I'm sick of this. It's hard enough to win here to have every opponent know exactly what the we bring to the table every day. It's I don't like it. That's what I'm saying. Make it very clear. I don't like the way that this is going at all. I don't like it. I don't think you guys need to know everything. And I certainly don't think that you need to see something and tweet it out there and make it a world event. How the do we benefit from them knowing that we don't have Devin Mesoraco? How do we benefit from that? They benefit from it. I just want to know how we benefit from these people knowing that we don't have a player here. Can you answer that? How is that good for the Reds?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's making my job harder.
I'm sure it is.
Well, thank you. I just don't know if that's what we're supposed to do. Are we supposed to open up everything here for everybody to know all the time? So that's all I want to know, what your expectations are, because if I got to tell these guys we got to go out there and they know we don't have Devin Mesoraco, what benefit is that to me as a manager and our team to win a game?
He hasn't been there for a week and a half.
I just want an answer on how we benefit from them knowing that Devin Mesoraco isn't here.
I don't think you do, and I don't know that that's my job.
Your job isn't to sniff out every little thing that is about the Reds and put it out there for every other guy to hear. It's not your job. You want me to be candid with you? I've been candid with you. I talk to you guys like men. I tell you what the is going on with the team. I tell you how I'm feeling about it as candidly as I can. And then this got to watch this. I got to read out on a tweet from our own people in here that we don't have a player. How the does that benefit the Reds? It doesn't benefit us one bit. We try to go out there and win games. I got to come in here and then you guys blow it all over the place. Who we can play, who we can't. I'll tell you what I want you to know. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't tell you.
Appreciate it. You did not lie to me, and I appreciate that.
I'm up a rope in this business because everyone has to know everything all the time. And that's not my obligation. It's not their obligation. You know why Billy Hamilton didn't play the other day? Because his fingers hurt. He couldn't hit right-handed comfortably. Right? So that's something that I need to know and no one else needs to know. No one else needs to know it. And all of a sudden it's out there. Fingers are sore. It doesn't benefit us. It wasn't from you. But it doesn't benefit us one bit to announce to the other teams that we're playing to bring in lefties whenever they need to get Billy out. There's no benefit. So I'll be honest with you, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of listening to this shit. I'm sick of the second guessing. You guys can do whatever the you want, but I'll tell you this. I'm not going to tell you everything about this club because you guys are going to go out there and sniff it out anyway. I don't like it one bit. Bend over backwards to be honest and direct with you guys, and you stick it right up my and the team, and I'm sick of it. What do you got? If you don't got anything, then get out and I'll do this interview with Marty. If you don't have anything, just get out, please.
Well, I'll tell you, man, that was something right there. My man doesn't you got nothing to say? Get out. I got nothing to say to you, man. He was quite perturbed. And you know what? Some of the things I do appreciate, like at the very beginning, I can totally dig, and this always bothers me. You gotta be able to tell the players before the media does. That stuff bugs me. Just because the coach gives you the head start, hey, we're getting ready to call up this guy and send down that guy. I do believe that nobody is sitting on pins and needles waiting to know, and maybe they are, but so what? They can wait. They don't need to know it 30 minutes before the rest of the world. give the team, give the players the opportunity to be told by their manager, etc. And that stuff I do agree with. I've always said, boy, you know, we see it all the time. Those uncomfortable situations where a guy still hasn't been sent down, but the media reports are out that his replacement's on the way. And it's like, how does a guy even answer questions about that? And it's already out there, and it's, you know, it's happening, but the manager hasn't been given or hasn't had the time or the clearance, or it hasn't been set up for him to tell the player yet. Just, it creates those bad situations. And I get that part. Like, and that's being a player's manager, man. That's saying, hey, shut up for a minute and let me tell my guy first, and then you go out there and tell the world. And I get what he's saying in certain regards. I know where the media guy is coming from, too. Sometimes they get too snarky. Well, that's not my job. I get what you're saying. It's not your job. But at the same time, let the opposing teams, but nobody wants, you know, your job is technically, if you're the beat writer, to uncover every little detail. But and it does make his job harder, and that's part of the frustration. That, to me, is just the frustration of dealing with the traditional old school realities of being a manager and the modern things that come with the Twitter and all of the things that come with that, because, you know, there's people who get paid to just sit there. And, you know, you can say what you want about that type of job. I mean, it's like paparazzi, people that get paid to just sit there and follow around an issue until they've got something to talk about. And if something doesn't rear its head, we can create something to talk about. And that is an issue to get mad about. And I think he combined his frustrations into all of it. And it makes sense, because it was a combination of things coming out. Some of the stuff he's mad about, you can't do anything about. But some of the stuff he's mad about is legit. But I agree with Bruce. As far as a good rant, and if you guys have ever heard me off the air, or perhaps you've been to one of my wrestling shows before, I enjoy a good rant. And that was top shelf. That was good stuff right there. I don't know if his job security is top shelf anymore. I think the path out of there may be rewritten by what he did there. We'll see, but it was to me it was a rant, and it was an entertaining one for sure. And I'm willing to bet privately Terry Francona's evening sounded something like that after what we saw in the ninth inning. Let's talk about that now. We've got things set. Let's take a break. Let's get Jeff Gorman in on the conversation and pick it up. The Indians were rolling up until the bottom of the ninth inning. You had to feel good if you were an Indians fan. Trevor Bauers, dominant. The Indians put some runs on the board and were set. They were 3 outs away from a 3-0 victory. Good way to start the series. And then, bam, 7 consecutive hits later. 4-3, walk off. Melky does it. Melky again. What's up with him, by the way? All that talk about him being so respectful. He respected us right on out with the walk off. But there you go. And the script is flipped. Let's open it up and talk about it with Jeff Gorman. When we come back, we'll talk Tribe and more with Jeff from Indians101.com. Coming up next here on The Fix. Don't forget, Dr. Football still to come. We're previewing Game 2, Cavs and Celtics, and so much more here on the Sports Fix.
And if you say run, I'll run with you.
The Sports Fix? Who's this?
The Sultan of SWAT!
Who?
King of Crack!
Who?
Lost the Clout! The Great Bambino!
We may not always know where we're going, but we do hit all the bases. Make sure your home plate for sports talk is the Sports Fix.
The wait is finally over, guys. Baseball season is here at last, and the excitement continues all season long. Here we go again at DraftKings.com, the official daily fantasy partner of Major League Baseball. Daily fantasy means no season-long commitments, just instant cash, instant gratification. Why wait until the end of the season to claim victory when you can win huge cash every day? At DraftKings, it's like a brand new season every time you play. Just select 2 pitchers and 8 position players, stay under your salary cap, and you could be on your way to an enormous payday. Last year, Peter from Colorado won $1 million at DraftKings in one day just playing fantasy baseball. Hundreds of thousands of fantasy sports fans, just like you and I, have already cashed in at DraftKings. Now it's your turn, baby. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and enter promo code SPREAKER to play for free. You could win part of the $300 million. Yes, I said $300 million in prizes being awarded this baseball season. Use promo code SPREAKER for free entry now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
The Sports Fix is on iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeart app today. Subscribe to the show and get your fix.
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and
pour me out. This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, FantasyJocks.com.
What's your fantasy?
No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. From their awesome Wing Mondays to every single Cavaliers and Buckeye Hoops games in full HD, the excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials. Fight fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens. And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger. Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious. What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Indian fever is catching fire with everyone. Indian fever, you can be part of the fun.
Welcome back to this band. That song would be so much more timely if they had just gotten those final 3 outs in the 9th inning yesterday, man, because, they doused a lot of water on the Fever yesterday. I mean, you know what I'm saying, man. It's just, that's a gut punch, you know, and, we'll get into it here. Jeff Gorman's joining us. You know, we don't want to commiserate by ourselves. We'll join all together here in the commiseration. And I got to keep countering it with, man, the rest of the game was the medicine the doctor ordered or whatever. If you were sick, you know, for the Indians, you were like, this is exactly what you wanted them to dial up here. Trevor Bauers punching them up and setting them down, you know, and the Indians got just enough offense to do what they needed to do, and it looked like way to start things here. And you move a little bit at a time, one game at a time, and I was feeling good. So I counter it by saying, keep in mind that 9th inning flameouts happen throughout a baseball season, and if that doesn't happen, our conversation today is 180 degrees different, not just a little bit different. And that's not in any way to mute the pain from last night, because that stunk so bad. And we're going to talk about that here as we get rolling. Although it didn't stink as bad, I will say this, it could be worse. It did not stink as bad as getting hit in the head while watching a baseball game. Did you guys see that? I'll get Jeff Gorman here in on the conversation and ask him the same question. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com joining us. Jeff, you with me?
I'm with you, champs.
Did you see the video from from the Cubs and the Pirates game of fan that was hit in the head by the foul ball?
No, I've heard about it, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet. It sounded pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it's I'll tell you, man. Like I say, it could be worse. You look for silver linings. It could be worse. Ask Carlos Carrasco too. He'll tell you a couple things that could be worse. But that was a nasty little shot there. Although they say doing all right in the hospital. I was just curious if you saw that. I know you saw the kick in the gut last night, and you heard. You heard how I set it up. You know what? Before we get into that, let's stall for one more second. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. There's reason to be a little bit down, but there's really still a lot of reasons to be optimistic, not just about the Indians, but about baseball in general. So overall, things I think are very good.
But let's pick up there. Now we know how you're doing. Last night, I set it up before I brought you in on the phones, and I am not ignoring, because some people hear me when I try to go optimistic and they go, oh, you're just brushing past. No, we blew a 3-run lead in the 9th inning, and there's all kinds of cause and concern there. But I say that the rest of that game, it's not like it was a game where there were a bunch of bad things and then you almost stole one and then you lost it in the 9th. I mean, it was a textbook victory until you blew it in the 9th. And when you look at the fact that occasional 9th inning flameouts will happen no matter what, I mean, you can't just jump off the bridge. But when you combine the first part of the season and this, now people are just running for the hills here. And I understand you have to fix that from last night. I mean, whatever's wrong with Cody Allen needs to be fixed. It's not just last night. Like, he has had trouble more than just last night. But yesterday's game was exactly what you wanted to see the Indians do before that. So before we talk about the 9th inning, let's talk about the previous 8. Trevor Bauer laid it down. 3rd straight, unbelievably good start. And the best part is he didn't walk anybody. He had 2 walks here. He got his control together and gave you his longest outing of the season. You've got to like that part of the way the game went.
Definitely. As hard as it was to lose that game and to say, well, gee, we're in last place and we're 6.5 games out of first. When you look at what Trevor Bauer did and see how he's, really turned the corner, at least the first 2 games, and, you put him together with Kluber and Carrasco, who, didn't get knocked into the middle of next week. He's bouncing back amazingly enough. You'd think that would have put him out on the shelf for quite some time, but he must have, like a jaw of steel or something. But, the fact that you've got Bauer coming up there too, with those 3 starting pitchers, that's going to shoot a lot of arrows. I know we've lost some heartbreakers, including especially last night. But when you've got that kind of quality pitching, eventually, just even in the law of averages, it's going to turn around and you're going to start racking up some wins. And, this is a team that, they've been struggling, but they've got what it takes to go on a run of maybe 7 out of 9 wins. This is a team that's going to put some really good streaks together, as good as these ones have been bad.
Right, and starting there, talking about looking for the good things out of that is when you look at how the first 12 games have gone. It's, to me, when a season is, when you're looking at something like this and you're going, how does this project out to the rest of the season? And it's such a small sample size. I think I saw the Indians have played about 8% of their games for the season. So it's less than 10%, but it begins to add up with each and every game. But when you project out, one thing I look for is this a bad run, or is this just the beginning of a whole summer of this? And when everything's bad, or when there's a lot of bad in every facet of your game, then yes, I think you're definitely looking at a summer where you just continue to do this all season long. That being said, not now. There are some very bad things going on with the Indians right now, but not everything. As we said, the starting pitching is the exact opposite. You know that, and I'll tell you, with Salazar perhaps emerging there, you may have sealed up another spot in that rotation, but the top 3 give you something to bank on. No doubt about it. I mean, what you've seen here early on, you at least know you've got that. Now, the bullpen, huge cause for concern. The offensive issues there, same thing. Those things can hopefully right themselves. Defensively, overall, not miserable, but still capable of the inning like they had the other day that can completely undo an entire game. So there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of things to work on, but everything's not bad, which does let you know that if the hitting begins to come around, not if, when, the hitting will warm up as the weather warms up, even if it doesn't ever get to perhaps what people hoped it would be. But when that happens, you've got the pitching. The bullpen, to me, is the biggest concern right now, because look at what we've seen just in the last couple of days. You had what happened the other night with Corey Kluber's start, where they go into the extra innings and they walk off against Minnesota, and it set up the that's a bad thing about that. You take care of business there, you win the first 2 games of that series, and then what happens on Sunday means much less, and then here, same thing. No way. Every player, usually multiple people, carry a loss. Last night, every player got punched in the gut with the way that game ended yesterday, because the Indians did exactly what they needed to do to win, with Cody Allen, with Shaw, with a lot of these guys, as we've seen here. The wear from last year that was such a concern showing itself. The Indians have to figure out what way to rearrange things. What help do they have? What reinforcements do they have? Because the bullpen is the biggest concern to me.
Right, and we've seen in the past how a bullpen can really, really let you down, especially early in the season, and cost you those wins that you're going to need, later in the season. But, you have to ask yourself, is this just an anomaly as far as Cody Allen is concerned, or is this, a continual problem? I mean, you just think about last year with John Axford being installed as a closer at the beginning, and he had an April pretty much just like this, and by pretty much the end of the month, he had flamed out in favor of Allen. So you really have to hope that doesn't happen, because then after that, you're like, well, gee, what are our options? I would dare say that McAllister should be the first option as the closer if Allen flames out, but that's a little getting ahead of ourselves. You just have to hope that, things can sort of kind of right the ship. And the good news is that, like I said, the starting pitching is holding things together very, very well, because when your starting pitching is going bad and you got guys getting bombed out in the 3rd, 4th inning, then your bullpen is really getting overworked and really getting stretched, and then it really starts to lose even more of its effectiveness. So fortunately, the starting pitching is holding together, with the exception, I guess, of TJ House. But, this is another thing. We're probably going to have to wait a couple weeks to see if Cody Allen and the rest are going to right the ship, or if this is, a serious problem that's going to have to get fixed before the beginning of May.
Oh, no doubt about it. There's most definitely, because there's a whole lot more miles left to put on those tires. And Mike Brandenberry, really, that was one of the things he kept talking about, was not just the number of innings, but when you combine it with the fact that they were such leveraged innings, that ties in as well, because that's even more than just the actual toll of the miles per se. And then, looking at things here, you and I, as we sit here and look, sorry, I lost my train of thought there with where I was going. You know how that goes.
That's okay.
Absolutely. And I'm with you about the Indians with the starting pitching, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because as we saw through the 1 through 3 there, and with Salazar coming up, which, by the way, last night, as people were going nuts and hitting me up with I know where I was going. As people were hitting me up with the closer stuff, Salazar, people throw that name out there. I'm like, man, how can you watch what he did the other day and tell me you want to see Salazar converted into a closer? Like, I get the whole he's got a hard arm thing, but really, you'd be amazed how many people hit me up and throw that. And I've heard it suggested before, and I understand that if we ever get to Jose Mesa territory where it's just not happening as a starter. But right now, I want to see that boy continue to develop into what he can do as a starter. But yesterday, this was where I was going to go before, is I don't like to do this, and I'm not going to entertain too much of this, but the second guessing, I got a lot of that after yesterday's game too, and I'm curious what you thought just watching it. Terry Francona afterwards said, hey, I just really thought that Cody was going to get out of it. I thought that he was going to get out of it. Why do you, I mean, without second guessing, because I don't like to do that, but man, I really wondered why we didn't have any movement going. Why did we roll with the way things went? I mean, to me, you could see that Cody Allen just did not have it.
Yeah, I think that it's a situation where when your closer comes in, he's going to close it one way or the other. Because you think that, if things start to go bad, you're like, well, are we going to get somebody up in the bullpen or not? Even by the time, even if he has enough time to warm up and enough time to get ready, then it's too late. Then he's lost the game. So I kind of think that when you throw your closer out there, that's it. It's the closer. He's going to sink or swim. Hopefully he's going to swim. But on those occasions to sink, if you're going to eventually try to bring somebody else in to take Allen's place, you've probably already lost the game. So I really wouldn't second-guess Francona as far as that's concerned, because your closer is supposed to slam the door, and unfortunately sometimes he lets all the horses out of the barn.
That's exactly where I wanted to go with this, because I hear you. And plus, I'm always honking the Terry Francona horn, man, so I'm not going to sit here after one loss and do it. But people came at me with that, and I'm with you right there with what you said, is if you've got a closer that you bring in, and I don't care if you've got a 1-run lead or a 3-run lead in the 9th inning, you bring in your closer, you've got your guy coming in. If you have to warm a second guy up, you don't have a closer. Like, you don't have a closer at that point. And the way you framed it was perfectly that expression. He's coming in to win or lose this game. And some people will disagree with that. And I think if you had more time, like you said too, I know 6-7 batters is a lot of time, but by the time you warm somebody, all of that, and you're just knowing that, man, if he just gets one of these guys here, this changes this thing, So it's such a boom, 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 one after another thought process, and I'm with you. If you are warming somebody else up, you're already sunk, and if you've got to back up a closer with a backup closer, you're already sunk as well there. Now, that being said, I disagree with what Bruce just said because he throws out Chris Perez. That being said, I'm talking about the manager, not the closer. Now, if the closer blows a bunch of those, then of course the fans are going to turn on him. I'm talking about the manager. You put your closer in to close the game or blow this thing up. You don't have a backup for your closer. But once your closer starts to blow him up a couple of times, you don't have a closer either, and he's got to go. And I'm not talking about Cody Allen. I'm talking about, because Bruce just said, oh, well, they got right on Chris Perez. Well, yeah, after he blew a couple, that's just it. But you got to give him the rope to blow those saves. So that was a touchy thing, and you can't criticize Francona for that. That being said, now you wonder, is that in the back of the head? And that's where being a player's manager will come to play, because Terry Francona the next time, will send him out there, and he's not going to warm anybody up again. He's going to send him out there again, because the minute you don't, you're admitting that you don't have a closer at all.
Right. It's like it's like quarterbacks. If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really an all-in situation. With the closer, like, you're my guy. You're going to win this game or you're going to lose this game. It's just so easy to second-guess the manager, and that's what they were doing in the paper when they were talking about not bringing Michael Bourne out of the dugout to play center field in the 9th inning, and just so, well, she might have made a catch. Well, he might not have made a catch. So,
You know what's funny about that? Is, do you know how many people of those same media people spent all winter telling you about those fan graph statistics that tell you about how poor of an outfielder Michael Bourne is and how he's got one of the worst defensive zone ratings of all the outfielders or whatever? But he should have been in the game. He would have made. That's the part of second guessing I don't like. Now, when it's obvious, even I'll do it. Every once in a while I'll go, boy, I would have done this. But come on, man. Those are the ones that drive me nuts, where it's like you're only saying that in hindsight because you weren't saying that in real sight. That's for sure.
Right. You're basically, when you're being a manager, you're talking about, putting the right people in the right spots on a regular basis. I mean, if nobody hit the ball to center field in that inning, we totally wouldn't even be having this conversation. So,
you know what, Jeff?
I mean, any manager, especially someone as accomplished as Terry Francona, I really give him a lot of the benefit of the doubt. And I think that sometimes when you lose a close game like that, people really start to nitpick the little things when you really have to give Francona credit for knowing what he's doing in the big picture, because otherwise he wouldn't be in the position that he's in.
Absolutely, and again, I wonder if when Cody Allen came into the game yesterday, if anybody sat at home and goes, boy, I hope Terry Francona's got a backup plan here. I wonder how many people didn't. Wow, Jeff, I don't know what you're doing, but you're killing me there, man. Jeff, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I lost what you just said.
Yeah,
there.
because you're killing me here. Is there some wind in your background or what?
There was, but I turned it off.
There we go. All right.
I turned the wind off.
He turned the wind off. I was like, man, where'd you go? Can you hear me? You got blown away in the twister there or something, man. But I was getting ready to ask you if you found the yellow brick road. But anyways, Jeff Gorman, Indians101.com. We're talking about that game last night. And as I was just saying, I wonder if when Cody Allen came in, if anybody was going, boy, I hope Terry Francona's got a backup plan here. And I mean, afterwards, it's easy to go, well, why didn't you get somebody else in there? But in between time, you're sitting there at the same time. That's what your closer does. That's what your closer does. It's just like, whatever. Anyway, it's like afterwards. Everybody likes to blame Jose, and I know Jose Mesa didn't throw the fastball. I get it. But 5 seconds before he came in the game, everybody was all about Jose Mesa coming in the game. So hindsight is always excellent, but people forget about real sight too. And that's not to forgive everything. Hey, even Terry Francona makes a mistaken judgment from time to time, but I'm not one to do that here. And I just go back to 8.5 other innings, and you're going, hey, way to get off the schneid, Indians. Let's make it 2 in a row. And instead, because of that, it just made a complete difference in the way people are talking today. Because when you combine that barn fire in the 9th inning with a rough start to the season, it feels like a disaster movie early on when it's really not, even though there's a lot of warning signs. There's a lot of things that you've got to correct. But it, again, is 7.9% of the baseball season.
That's right, and it's hard because we take everything so much to heart, especially when we talk about football. How every game is so big, and now coming into playoff basketball, everything is. And I'm not saying that individual baseball games don't matter, but you really have to take the long view as far as baseball goes, and especially just in a situation like this when things start out bad, and then the Tigers and the Royals are just running way out ahead, and it's a situation where you really have to concentrate on yourself and on your own team. And you have to really kind of put out of your mind what the other teams are doing. What the Indians should be doing right now is just concentrate on, righting the ship. And in a large sense, to think about, well, let's see if we can just get back to 500 by the end of April. And if they do that, they're going to be fine because this team has the talent and they have the experience to, do well over the long haul. You just don't want to dig too deep a hole for yourself. And when you think about that, you think about last year we had someone like Carlos Santana who was in a really super deep hole for 2 whole months. And the good thing is we don't see any players who are, really in a situation like that where, they just really don't have it and, well, good boy, we got to get this guy out of the lineup, something like that. So, the fact that individual players, with the exception of a couple, maybe like House and Allen, you don't have your position players who are really falling off the table and people aren't worrying about Jason Kipnis or things like that. I think that, the fact that, individual players' wheels aren't falling off indicates that they should be able to bring themselves back to an even keel and then move on from there.
Offensively, let's circle in there because we talk about the starting pitching because you got 3 legs. You got your starting pitching, your bullpen, and offense. And then, of course, I'm not trying to leave out defense, but I'm looking at those 3 areas. We've established the starting pitching is a relative strength of this team. Offensively, and this is a reason, because if you can get 2 of those 3 going, you can still get some things going. That bullpen will remain an Achilles heel until they straighten it out. But I always believe that a bullpen is not at its best on any baseball team until halfway through the season because I just think it takes a while to mix and match your pieces until you really figure out who's your, who do I got for 1 lefty, for 1, or who can get me 3 and who can get me 2 innings. And I've got everybody's role figured out. I think it usually takes halfway through a season. So I'm not crazily going nuts, but you got to start straightening that up, shoring things up. So, but 2 of the 3 got to be strong. And offensively, that's the part that I know is going to come around. Whether it gets as good as maybe I or you hoped that it would be, right now, the grouping of Santana, Kipnis, Ramirez, Chisenhall, Brantley, Bourne, and Moss, I mean, that's your lineup. They're batting .203, 55 hits in 271 at-bats. That's not going to happen all season long. I mean, there's too much talent in that group of guys, even if some of them don't. I mean, Carlos Santana's going to hit. Michael Brantley's most definitely going to hit. Brandon Moss is going to start to get some power going regardless of what he hits for average. You know, these guys are going to hit the ball. Ramirez has shown that he can put some ball down too. So that's a big difference. And it's not just the lefty-righty thing anymore too, because they're miserable against both. They're batting .200 against lefties and .230 against righties. So they're only 30 points better on the right side, which means in general the offense stinks. It's going to continue to get better. They're 25th in scoring, 24th in home runs, only solo home runs all season long. So the Indians have a lot of places offensively that they're going to naturally improve as things go. As long as the starting pitching continues to do what it's done, that's going to be the rock that you lean on through the tough times. You know, defensively, they don't have an error in inning, but they definitely have those bad tendencies that are going to cause them to blow up things from time to time. But, you know, that is going to be what it is because they're never going to be a fundamentally great defensive baseball team with some of these guys that they've got on it. But you know what I'm saying. Do you agree with me offensively or not? That it's just impossible to believe that this is anything more than a slow beginning offensively.
Yes, I do agree. I mean, you just look statistically at these guys and really just pretty much any legitimate Major League Baseball team, they're not going to go the entire season hitting, 205 or even 225. They're going to get it up. They're going to heat up. And that's something we have to look forward to. I mean, it would be almost unconscionable not for that to happen. So, but there's a couple things that I've been actually pretty encouraged about. One of them is Ryan Rayburn. I mean, Rayburn is really hitting the ball very well, and I had my doubts about him considering the bad year he had last year. I thought, boy, if Rayburn still doesn't hit this year, maybe we might need to get rid of him because, but no, he's finally getting it going. And the other thing is how the catchers have come through at the plate without Yan Gomes in there. Roberto Perez has a couple home runs. Hayes hit a home run. So, there wasn't a big drop-off, because sometimes, especially a catcher, if you lose that guy, then you've got like a backup and another backup. And if they're both playing like backups, it's like having a big black hole in your lineup. But no, they've kept it up at the plate, let alone behind the plate. So those guys are keeping it together. And again, it's just a matter of time before the offense puts it together. And of course, we're pretty solid as far as these starters go, again, especially if Danny Salazar can do what he did on Saturday. But I think the only part of this team that is a long-term consideration for concern might be the bullpen. And that's we just have to just really keep an eye on them over the next couple of weeks, whether they can turn it around or if it needs to be a reclamation project.
Well, that's the thing. Retooling, you've got the different pieces. As I said, you're going to mix and match. You're going to bring guys up and down. They're going to play with it. It was the same thing last year, and then they really started to get it together in the second half. That became such a strength to lean on. So, and you're right about Rayburn. I think he's 6 of his last 12. He had that nice, what I think is my favorite. I know he had the home run, but I like that 10-pitch at bat where he drew the walk too. So that's a good sign. Everybody else is going to warm up around him offensively. So that's something to keep in mind as you look at things here. Still, I'm trying to candy coat as best I can. That was definitely a sour way to go to sleep after watching the Indians there yesterday, but you just have to shake it off and brush it off and go out there. Easier said than done for us, I know, than it is. Cody Allen's had a rough one. I saw this morning in the Plain Dealer. 76 appearances last year, 16 earned runs. He's already halfway there in his first 5 outings this season. I mean, that's definitely been a tough start for him, and we were worried about the 76 appearances. I mean, Terry Francona set a record last year with the usage of the bullpen, and I think 4 of the Indians' highest totals there were all from last year, and we're talking about guys like Cody Allen, guys like Brian Shaw as well. He's had a tough start to the season, but the sample size being what it is, I don't want to go crazy about it. I think that they've got options. They've got options. A few guys down below you can mix and match to bring it up, but those guys too can get better as well, and hopefully they will. Well, they need to. Whether they will or not, I don't know, but the Indians need them to.
Right. It's going to be a matter of just putting together some solid games and just some solid at bats. When you're on the mound, just individual matchups with pitchers and hitters, and to get in that kind of groove. And it's like you said, it's going to be interesting to see the guys that Francona trusts, the guy that he puts out there, in big money situations, and who are the guys that he consistently goes to. Of course, you don't want him to run them into the ground, but I think that we're going to hopefully see a little bit more consistency. And again, if the starting pitchers can keep helping them out by shortening up these games, going 6-7 innings or so you only need the bullpen just for the end, that's really going to extend the life of those pitchers and be able to, when it is time for them to go out there, they're really nice and fresh and they have some really pop on their pitches and stuff. So, again, I think that things, aren't looking great right now, but I hope that about this time next month, things will start to clear up, and hopefully things will start to clear up a little bit in the standings too, so we won't be in this kind of sort of scary looking hole that we find ourselves in right now.
And I go back to this too. Look around baseball. All of Major League Baseball is sitting right around the same area with the Indians. I mean, the divisions are littered with teams that are a hair above or a hair below 500. There's only a couple of teams really even running away with things, but that's part of what puts the spotlight on this tough start for the Indians, is the fact that two of them are the top two teams in the Central. They're the best two teams in the American League, Detroit and Kansas City, both with double-digit wins early on, and that, I think, makes it even more of a spotlight on the troubles and kind of gets people even more anxious because, boom, you're getting ran away from early. But I counter that with, you got both teams coming up, you got all these games in the division. The Indians can play their way out of any hole as well by handling their business within the division.
That's right. And, I may sound like a naysayer, and I know that this is kind of, all this talk creates a chip on their shoulder, but I just really don't see the Royals holding up all season long. I just don't think that they have the talent and the experience, and, the Tigers, of course, unfortunately, I think that they're obviously off to a great start, and I could see them, not necessarily going wire to wire, but, things would really the wheels would really have to fall off for them to not have a good season, if not go very, very far. But I can see us eventually running down the Royals. It's not looking like it right now, but I just can't see the Kansas City keeping up this kind of pace.
And as I said, I mean, the two best teams in baseball, both at the top of the division. I mean, really, actually, I think there's only them and the Mets are the only double-digit teams. Hey, how about the Mets? Good start to the season for them there early on.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. They've been, working on their pitching for a long time. It seems like they might be starting to put it together.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've seen the Mets kind of have a little thing going. It's so early, though; it's hard to say that. But yeah, they start off with a good run at home for sure. But I mean, I go back to looking around baseball. Washington's starting to get things together a little bit, but they struggle to get things going. Teams, I just point out a team that some people had as a dark horse, Milwaukee. What a tough start to the season for those guys. The Giants as well, very tough start to the season for them too. So all around baseball, there's a lot of teams that are struggling to get going. The Angels, the Mariners, both having tough starts like the Indians. So, again, you use the cliches all you want about how much season's left. It's true. And this is why I don't even get crazy about the record. And I don't look and count. I mean, you reminded me that there's 6.5 games out of first place. That's fine. But I don't really start getting into any of that stuff until a little bit later on into the season.
Right. You really don't need to necessarily look at that until almost the All-Star break because, winning a division isn't necessarily what it all counts for anymore. I mean, this is a different time. It really just matters to make the playoffs, to get at least one of those wild card spots. And if you're having even a remotely good season, if you're even a little bit above 500, you're in contention for one of those wild card spots at the end. I mean, you might call that not being a purist. You might call that sort of dumbing down the system or whatever, but you know what? Sometimes it works in your favor. So in a perfect world, we'd be, cruising along towards division championship. But really, all you got to do is get in and get hot, and you can go far. And that's just what Kansas City did last year. We've seen several wild card teams just in the short history of the wild card go pretty far. So, it's a slightly bit of a lowered expectation of what you have to do. But, as long as you're not, in a losing record, you've got a shot. And I just have a lot of confidence that this group of Indians, is going to be, in there at the end. Hopefully not like last year where you're scratching and clawing and trying to make your way back. But I think they'll be in a lot better position, especially better than they look right now.
I'll tell you what. See, some people get mad and they go, "Oh, what are you always saying? It's a long season. It's over." Okay, well, if we're not allowed to use that cliche, okay, well then I'll go the other way. The Indians, as they sit right now, are 2 games out of the wild card. So there you go. I mean, if we're, I'm just saying, if we're gonna go to the end of the season already, the Indians are 2 games out of the wild card with 150 to play. So there we go. We can start keeping track of that one if you want. We can. What's the magic number? That makes their magic number 147 to clinch a wild card. So that's where we're at right now. And we'll keep updating that magic number every day. Jesus, do you hear how silly that sounds? Do you?
I know.
150 games left in the season, right? But when you put it that way, then maybe somebody realizes that if you flip it around, that's how dumb you sound when you say, things like, "Oh, the season's over already," and all that stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that you just don't believe that they're a bad team and they're not going to get better, because there are a lot of people that make that argument with me, and we'll have to see. Because if that, 3-4 weeks from now, if all of the bad tendencies are still there, you at least want to have different problems. You want to have fixed some things and have some new problems, because if it's all the same ones, well, then you start getting 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks of evidence, and now you've got a trend. Right now, you've just got a bad start.
Right, because, people don't really forget how to play baseball. If they've, been able to produce over the years, they're going to pretty much keep producing. They're not going to immediately fall apart and retire the way people sometimes seem to get old very quickly in football. Like a running back suddenly loses a step, and like, wow, this guy's kind of acting pretty old. That doesn't necessarily really happen in baseball. So you've got people who have an established track record, and as long as they're healthy, they should be able to produce. And if you have as many good production people as the Indians have assembled, they should be able to put it all together. It can just sometimes be frustrating and a little scary when the season starts out like this.
Of course, and everybody's just and you know what? Here's something, and I haven't noticed the Indians getting the benefit of this, but the Browns always would, but I don't know that the Indians have, which is that old, when the Indians are in the pennant race and the Browns are having a bad start to the season, people go, boy, nobody's noticed how bad the start to the Brown season is because they've been distracted, and same thing here is there's so much buzz going on. Like, you know what? The Indians that got beat around Sunday, most people weren't paying attention because they were watching the Cavs game. And I'm just saying, if you're going to have a little bit of a sluggish, slow, terrible, rotten, whatever word you want to use, start to the season, it's covered up a bit. The focus isn't as strong. Man, boy, imagine if the Cavs were out of the playoffs and it was one of those seasons, then the spotlight would be 100% on the Indians and people would be acting like the world is coming to an end. So there's a benefit if you're an Indians player and if you're an Indians fan, is that they can kind of lay under the radar during the Cavs playoff run here, and there's not as much pressure, as much focus. Hopefully, they're getting themselves going, as you said, back to 500 ball right around the time that the focus is coming back onto them, and then it kind of solves a little bit of this, and that's what I'm hoping. And speaking of, by the way, before we segue off of that, tonight I wanted to mention the Indians, you brought it up, Carlos Carrasco, he got that extra day bump here. He's going to go back out there tonight. Should be interesting to see what he does, especially following up what Trevor Bauers was able to do to the White Sox batters last night. You always wonder what that first time out there for a guy that took a shot like Carlos is going to be. Tonight, we'll find out. He gets back out there.
Right, and not just physically, but, psychologically. I mean, it's great that he doesn't have any permanent damage, but when you get there on the hill and you might have that kind of a flashback of that ball smashing you in the face, it could really, mess you up. And I wouldn't blame him one bit if he did. I would be terrified if I were him. But, if he can come out there and pitch pretty much the way he did before, be able to be aggressive and, have command of the strike zone and, just come out there with all full guns ablazing, that'll really say a lot about his, not his mental fortitude as well as his intestinal fortitude, considering that he took a shot like that, which would cause some people to just totally go into PTSD mode.
Jeff, I said the same thing, man. I said, I don't know, more power to him. And, we do the wrestling thing. I've gotten hurt very badly, and I've had to go back out there. And there's that little hesitation, and then you go, okay, I'm back out here. I didn't die. I'm okay. But, man, that's a 90-mile, or how fast it is coming back to you, to your face. Oh, man, I don't know about getting back out there mentally. That's a tough one. And, I mean, that's what that's what you just signed that big dollar contract for and all that. But I said the same thing that you said. It'd be tough for me, too. I'm sure I'd do it. But, man, that first pitch that you throw, that first swing, waiting for it to come back, it has to be in your head. My hat's off to him if he's able to get out there. I'm interested in seeing how he does it, too, and if he can go out there and be as effective as well tonight and follow up right off of. Because, man, I mean, look at how Bauers started that, Carrasco, then you drop Kluber in there. You're tantalized a bit by what you saw with the first start from Salazar. Man, what a starting rotation this Indians team can have if they get everything else together, man. If they can just get everything else together. So it'll be fun tonight to see what Carrasco can do. But as we were wrapping things up, I was segueing. I had talked about the Cavs there. Tonight, Game 2, man, what'd you think? Cavs went out there. Game 1 took care of business. How's the first round of the playoffs so far? You been watching everything or just the Cavs?
I've been watching the Cavs and sort of keeping in track on everybody else, and, things are going for the most part according to Hoyle. Hopefully the Cavs will just go out and have the same type of, solid overall performance. And, it was nice to see some of these experienced bench guys, even like James Jones, getting in there and getting some good minutes and getting some good points there, just showing the overall depth of that team. And I just, you want to take as much drama out of it as possible. You're going in there against, the Celtics, you're supposed to win. Just go full guns ablazing and just step on their throat and don't give them any hope of any kind of any signs of life whatsoever. You want to go in there, even though they're not the number 1 seed, they're not the defending champions, but you want to go in there with as much of a chip on your shoulders. This is our championship to win. We're one of the favorites, and we should be in this at the end. And have that kind of an attitude. Of course, LeBron has that attitude. Having been there before, having won it all before. There's really no substitute for that kind of experience, especially since even guys like Kyrie and Love are just getting their first playoff experience. So, I think that's going to hopefully, trickle down with all the other experienced playoff guys on this team, just to come in there and just really take charge and just try to take as much drama out of the situation and let other teams have a hard time and struggle and maybe grind it out to 5, 6, 7 games and just take as much of the, like I said, as much of the drama out of it as possible and seal up another victory tonight.
And I know it was Boston. I'm not going to go too far with this, but they found out what I've been saying here, why I feel so confident about the Cavs in this playoff run and their ability to win a championship. It's because now you don't have the LeBron rules, as I call it, man. They force LeBron to turn it over to somebody else, and we'll take our chances. Well, you don't take your chances getting beat by Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, etc., so forth. Like the cast of characters around him is effectively different to where that strategy doesn't work. And then the minute you switch your gears and you say, okay, now, well, who do you focus on? It's pick your poison. I think that is the biggest difference at all, because that's what the Celtics tried to do, man. They said, all right, man, we're going to force LeBron to pass the ball, and he was more than willing to distribute the ball because now he's got teammates that will take care of business as well as he can, and that's when the Cavs become a team that can't be beat in a 7-game series, in my opinion.
Right, and that's really the whole difference between the previous LeBron era and this one. When they went up against this, it's really a miracle that they even made it to the NBA Finals when they got wiped out by the Spurs. And even when they lost that one series to the Magic, it came down. Everybody knew that it came down to LeBron and sort of a cast of characters. I mean, we thought they were good and they were kind of okay, but really, if they were able to shut LeBron down, the others on the Cavs were not able to step up. And now this is a team that LeBron himself trusts these other guys. He knows that he doesn't have to do everything, and that was the problem. He felt like he had to win the game all by himself, and everybody in the building knew that he was either going to win it himself or he was going to lose it himself. And there was the whole drama of, oh, is he going to take the last shot? Can he make the last shot? You know, all that has dissipated. He's able to spread the ball out. He's got other people that he can trust, and even the fans trust. And, you know, it's just so much more of a team atmosphere, an atmosphere that has proven to win in the past with teams like the Spurs and the Bulls. Even as good as Jordan was, you know, he had other guys on his team that he trusted, and he knew that guys like Scottie Pippen could score in the clutch.
And not just that, it's the threat of them alone. But then when they're that effective too, trust me, I'm with you, man. And that's the difference now is as teams are going to find out as we go. But Cavaliers need to stay focused on this one. Game 2 tonight, and we'll see what happens. And then it shifts over to Boston, and we head to Beantown for games 3 and 4. Jeff, tonight, double dose. Got some hoops, got some baseball going on. Carrasco on the mound, got the Indians and the White Sox, and you've got the Cavaliers and the Celtics. A double dose of sports goodness tonight. So I don't know. I'm going to be watching both. I don't know about you, but it should be some fun. I look forward to catching up with you later on this week.
Sounds like a plan. I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
What are you guys working on this week for Indians 101? Anything in special?
Pretty much going to be taking a look at, you know, pretty much like we've been talking about, you know, the bullpen, trying to, you know, get them back together and see if it's going to be a long-term problem or just something that could be pretty much solved pretty quickly.
All right, there it is, Indians101.com. Check that out. Jeff Gorman, my man, he's with us on Tuesdays and Fridays. We'll catch up on Friday, my friend.
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much.
You got it. Jeff Gorman. Have a good one, you guys. Of course, he's here. You guys with us. Let's take a break. Wow, we're over an hour or two. Wow, rolling with this show. Let's take a break, get you some news, and come on back. Don't go anywhere. Let's get back up on the time here. The news coming up next, and then plenty more sports fix still to come.
The Sports Fix, your choice for intelligent talk.
I'm expecting a very important delivery at the house, so could you please call me if it arrives? I'll give you my cell number. 401-555-1125.
440.
No, I was just repeating the 4. 1-4.
1-4.
Intelligent talk.
Okay, 1125.
1125. 155.
I'm not giving you quantities of the numbers. I'm giving you the numbers. 1125. Those are the last 4 numbers.
Oh, I see. 1125.
Yes. All right. Now read the number back to me.
Let me get my pen.
The Sports Fix will be right back.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Today on Save on Taxes, we ask 100 people what costs less than filing your taxes with IRS Free File.
A car seat. Oh, a pair of shoes.
The correct answer is nothing. When you use Free File, you get brand name software, tax prep, e-filing, and help with the new healthcare provisions, all for free.
So, did we win anything?
Everybody wins. freefile.irs.gov. It's fast, it's safe, it's free.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. It's been 8 years since the last time it happened. The last time the Rockets took a 2-game-to-none lead in a best-of-7 series. And Houston can do it with a win tonight at home against Dallas in their NBA Western Conference first-round best-of-7. The Mavericks are 0-3 this season in Houston. Chicago has a 2-zip lead in the Eastern Conference. Jimmy Butler poured in 31 points last night in a 91-82 home win over Milwaukee.
At any given night, somebody could score 30 points or have 20 rebounds. I feel like we're so deep and we have so many guys that do so many things well that when you're doubling and you kick the ball out, guys are going to knock down shots.
And Game 3 will be Thursday night in Milwaukee. The Rangers got a first-period goal from Carl Hagelin and a second-period score from Chris Kreider last night, and it held up in a 2-1 win in Pittsburgh. New York takes a 2-1 game lead in their Stanley Cup Eastern Conference first-round playoff series. The NFL will release the 2015 regular season schedule tonight. Live coverage during a special on ESPN TV at 8 Eastern Time. Tom Brady and Peyton Manning will square off for the 17th time when New England visits Denver.
1-800-Flowers.com has an incredible offer that she'll love. 36 stunning roses for only $36. That's 3 dozen roses for $36. Order now. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com today, click on the microphone, and enter Colin.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live as we roll on here. And live radio is exactly what it is. J-Rocc back with you here. And normally that music means we'd be joined by the doctor, Dr. Football. But unfortunately, medical reasons do not allow him to join us here today. And Bill, always in our thoughts. Hopefully everything's okay with him, but he won't be here. And so we will have to trudge on without him. I'm going to open up the phone lines to you guys. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. Of course, when the phones are open, that means Facebook, Twitter. If you can't get through, hit us up there. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. Again, Dr. Football not with us. Keep him in your thoughts, you guys. We're going to open up the phones, 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Couple of things we were going to, real quick, something I was going to talk about anyway here with Dr. Football, but before I get to the phones, I'll go ahead and kind of go off on this direction here. We were going to talk some NFL and all of that, and one of the things, and Dan Wismar and I touched on this a little bit Monday, is Chip Kelly and his growing cachet of quarterbacks that he's got with the signing of Tim Tebow. Now he's got Tebow, he's got Barkley, he's got Bradford, he's got himself a pile of quarterbacks over there, man, and then the talk that he may want to add a fifth in Mariota. But you know what he's doing? It's so clear as day to me what Chip Kelly's doing. And I've seen people joke, I've seen headlines out here, is Chip Kelly crazy and stuff like that. Actually, I think Chip Kelly's really, really smart. What he's doing with the 4 quarterbacks that he's got. What he's doing, it's simple. This is a year that has been said a lot. How many people have said, we've heard it so much here in Cleveland, I've said it, you've heard it, all of that this is a terrible year if you're looking for a quarterback, right? This is not the year because the free agent crop is and seriously, Brian Hoyer was one of the better of the quarterback crop that was out there. And the draft is So this is a really weak draft and weak crop of quarterbacks in general, if that's what you're out there looking for your football team. So Chip Kelly realizes that if this was the stock market, if this was the commodities market, clearly that is already a precious commodity normally. Now, the value of a quarterback is incredibly more precious right now, heading into this draft and in this offseason. So what he's done is he's got himself quite a group of different quarterbacks. If you look at what he's got different skill sets, he's got different ages, he's got different resumes. I mean, he's got a little bit of everything for you. if depending on what you may be looking for. But some people would look at the group of quarterbacks that he's got as better than any of the other options that are currently out there or that have been out there this offseason. So he's got himself a pile of mixed pieces that all of a sudden, for the next few months, are more valuable than they'll ever be. He's not piling this up so that he can do something with it next year or something like that. He knows that he's got a bunch of guys and he's going to do something here. He's leading up to some type of series of moves to set up his team. But he's actually, what he's done, I think, is really, really slick. He looked around and he said, why not go out here? If all these teams, he heard deals. He heard the Cleveland Browns are talking to this team, and the Tennessee Titans have talked to that team, and this team and that team has talked trades about these quarterbacks. St. Louis is talking about trading Bradford. He heard all this and said, why don't I go trade for these quarterbacks? Because now when Cleveland or Tennessee or Tampa Bay or New York or any of these other teams, they want to come try a new quarterback, they can come to me. I've got a whole stockpile of them, and that's what he's doing. Not just, I joke that he's just waiting for the Browns. He's got the Browns circled with a big sucker on it. Like if he's looking the sucker born every minute, he's hoping that it's the Browns. But in all seriousness, it doesn't matter what team it is. There's enough teams that need a quarterback, and he's got enough quarterbacks that he's created himself a little cachet here. And I think that he's going to make a series of moves here that could set him up for what he really wants to do. Is that Mariota? Is that something else? We'll wait and find out. But it's actually quite smart because what he did was very quietly done and nobody saw it coming until he gets the fourth quarterback. And then people are like, wait, what the hell is he doing here, man? And so now you're starting to see what he's done. He makes the trade and you scratch your head and you go, oh, what did he go get Bradford for? And then he goes and brings in Tebow and now you're looking and you go, man, he's got a bunch of quarterbacks over here. What's he going to do? He's given teams options. Now he doesn't have one quarterback to trade. He's got four. Depending on what you're looking for, we can go in any one of these directions. He's now a chameleon when it comes to trading a quarterback. He can trade the quarterback that you need or that you want, and he can still keep what he needs, and he can get the value that he needs, and the quarterbacks that he has are worth more than they'll be worth 6 months from now. It's actually pretty smart, and I think that he's going to reap the benefits of this because he went out there and said, if quarterback is a rare commodity, I'm going to corner the market on him. It's like what's the Trading Places? Remember, he's trying to corner the market on the soybean futures and the orange juice market. He's trying to corner the frozen orange juice market. But anyways, he's pretty smart, I think, with what he's doing there. If you look at the big picture, and he did it before anybody saw it coming. He was able to go out there and recognize the dearth of talent and say, hey, there's a couple of diamonds out here. Well, I'm going to go snatch them up and try to sell some diamonds on eBay. So let's see if Ray Farmer gives him a call or somebody else. You're giving me a call, so I'm going to go to the phones now. Caller, you're live on the Sports Fix. What's up? Who's this?
Hey, J-Rocc Daddy, it's LG.
My man, LG. Been waiting to talk to you. What's up, LGZ? How's it happening?
First of all, congratulations on the big championship you won, man.
Oh, yeah, well, they're trying to take it back from me. The whole crooked referee thing, they're trying to say, yeah, whatever. Politics is what it is, but I don't care because I got pictures of me and I'm the champ, and I don't care what they say, man. So absolutely.
And you got the belt, baby.
I don't care what they say, man, but it's all fun.
Who's got the belt?
Well, hey, possession is 9/10 of the law, baby. They're going to have to pry that thing from me.
Let them try to take it from you.
But you know what? I do appreciate.
I'll tell you right now, man. I already see the people, the skeptics. You were talking about Kelly and all his quarterbacks. He's been banking up. With
Don't you think that's smart? Don't you think that's a slick move, what he's doing?
Man, I definitely think it's smart. And there was a lot of rumors and a lot of talk about Chip Kelly potentially wanting to get his hands on Johnny Manziel. And now that he has a bank of quarterbacks, maybe there is one that would fit the mold of what Ray Farmer's looking for. I'd say, come and get him, baby.
Oh, you and I are in the same place. I know about that. Trust me. But no, that's another one. Throwing his name out there.
Another thing, J-Rocc.
Yeah. Yeah.
It breaks my heart to see a man who has worked so hard for so long to try to hone his skills being ridiculed by the general public that this guy, Tim Tebow, cannot play football, and why is anybody signing him to an NFL quarterback?
LG, you and I agree about Tim Tebow, and you know that. I've said that before. I do believe that he has more to offer the game of football than he has been able to do. I do believe that there's some people that don't like certain things about him, and I'm not blaming that on anything. Tim Tebow's not a finished product either. I just looked at some of the guys floating around the NFL and said, hey, man, Tim Tebow's a better quarterback than this guy, man. I don't know about anything else. But
let's talk about this for a second, J-Rocc. You know as well as I do, if you talk to any NFL pro, they talk about 4 to 5 years of developmental process to become a good, stable NFL quarterback. Now think about when Tebow won his Heisman Trophy and came into the league. I mean, he did lead the Denver Broncos to a playoff game. He did beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game. That's not completely terrible, man. I mean, it's better than what we've been witnessing here in the city of Cleveland for the last 20 years or 15 or 16 years or whatever you want to say. But I got to tell you, man.
I would take Tim Tebow over the two quarterbacks that are battling for our starting job right now. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's how much faith I don't have in Manziel and McCown, is that to me, Tim Tebow is not that far off from what we've already got. So it is what it is. That's just my opinion.
If you look, Tim Tebow could be better than anything we already got, J-Rocc.
I'm just saying, you know. And listen, I've got to say that I know you and I both 100% believe that Johnny Manziel is not going to work out in the NFL, and I don't. But that being said, from this day forward, I am giving him the opportunity to do it all over again, man. Go out there and play ball. Like, what I'm saying is, I will not hold his previous sins against him from this point going forward, because that's not fair, and I wouldn't want people to do that to me as well. That said, just because he went to rehab and just because he said he straightened up, if he still can't play football, then I'm not going to sit here and change my opinion on that. But I'm not going to sit here and go, you know, well, forget the guy because of what he did last year. Last year's in the back. Let's see what you do. Judge him.
That's definitely not what I'm saying, J-Rocc Daddy. But
no, you and I are on the same page with Johnny Manziel. But I do.
Let's just take the physical stature of both guys and put them next to each other. It would almost look like Samson and Goliath, or you know what I'm saying.
No, I know what you're saying.
A big guy and a little guy, man. And unfortunately, the defenses in the NFL today are punishing defenses. And one of the biggest punishments they like to produce is hitting that quarterback as many times as possible. And my particular thing is this. Unless rehab put about 65 pounds of muscle on this kid, he's not going to last in the NFL. I don't care if he was the most talented guy in the NFL, man, unless they put some beef on him. And I know there's little guys like Drew Brees or whatever, you know, but those are guys that didn't try to do it all by themselves 90% of the time. You know, that's the football experience that this kid has, and that's going to be a detriment to the Cleveland Browns, and you're going to get killed out there, man. If he was the most talented young guy in the world. I mean, he took a hit last year. You know, I mean, we lost him for the remainder of the season with a hamstring injury. 95% of everybody else in the world probably would have got up from that, J-Rocc, you know?
Well, I'm with you, but like I said, at this point, and I think it's only fair, I think everybody should move, you know, judge from this point forward, and not just with him, with everybody. It's here we go.
Well,
it's you know what I mean?
Team, I mean,
no, absolutely, and they're working out this week. They're back at it here, and Tayshaun Gibson's not there, but the rest of the team.
Well,
and I understand that too. Tayshaun Gibson's
coming off of a serious knee injury.
Well, not just that. He can also still get signed.
Sorry?
No, I was just going to say, it's not just that. Right now, he can still get signed by another team, and he's not taking any chances of pulling a muscle or tearing a muscle or anything until he sorts out his contract situation. He's not getting hurt until he gets paid. He's not. He's a restricted free agent, but he is a free agent. Don't forget, Tayshaun Gibson is still a free agent right now.
Well, a restricted free agent at that.
Right, absolutely. But that means that he's a free agent. That just means that whatever the other team signs him for, the Browns have the ability to match the contract. But he is every bit as much a free agent as anybody else. He just can be brought back to Cleveland for a price, you know?
Well, and here's the thing, too, J-Rocc, Daddy. I still throw the knee injury up there. The guy's coming off of a pretty serious knee injury. As you just said, he can still get paid. He can get picked up by another team. The Browns can match your offer. We all know that. But it's not like the guy's sitting around doing nothing and just not showing up either. He's at home rehabbing his knee. There have been some reports about that, how he's working out, how he's trying to get back into shape. You know, coming off of a serious knee injury in the NFL, especially playing cornerback, you got to chase these receivers, safety or defensive back in the NFL, chasing down these guys and being able to make all the cuts. Your knee takes quite a bit of a pounding. It's a more so than what we saw Brian Hoyer come back for from last season, because you don't expect Hoyer to make the cuts and the runs and follow these guys and cover them. You know,
right? Absolutely,
Gibson faces a bigger hurdle coming back with this injury than a guy like Brian Hoyer. So, you know, let's cut the guy a little bit of slack and don't say that he's just sitting back at home partying and not doing anything.
Who said that? Who said that?
No,
I said he's playing business. I think he's smart business.
Other people in the media are just trying to throw it out there that he's not showing up. You know what I'm saying? You know how the media is, J-Rocc.
Hey, man, I wouldn't show up until I was under contract either. I'm sorry. I'm not going to get hurt until I take care of my business. And you can tell me that it's team first all you want, but the minute that I don't run fast enough for you in the media, you're going to call me an old man and you're going to ship me out of town. So guess what?
Absolutely.
I want to make sure my contract is signed, and then I'll run myself into the ground for you. Sorry, I've got no problem with Tayshaun Gibson making sure that business is handled first. And hey, guess what? If the Browns want him at camp that bad, they can make sure that happens. And I'm not blaming them. He's playing the market. But if it's that big of a deal, fine. Guess what? It's April.
Well,
they don't even know who the
Browns.
This is what I'm saying, LG, is we don't even need to talk about the Browns anymore, because it's April. It's just workouts. They're lifting weights and throwing balls indoors in shorts. Man, we'll talk draft next week. Then we got some Brown stuff to talk about. But to hell with that, man. Let's shift gears off of them. Let's talk a little bit about something else, man. I know you're fired up for the Cavaliers here tonight. What are your thoughts?
J-Rocc, Daddy, that game Sunday, I mean, me and you talked earlier in the season about this Cavs team and any other team in the NBA being able to beat this Cavs team in a 7-game series. I tell you right now, man, I think we're going to make easy work of the Boston Celtics. I don't think they have the talent it's going to take to stop. I mean, Irving, everybody was talking about, is this kid going to be nervous? Boy, did he look nervous scoring them 30 points last Sunday, huh, J-Rocc?
Well, there's a lot. I really think that we're going to learn a lot about this Cavs team when they go head-to-head with a tested veteran team like Chicago in the second round. I mean, that is where we'll really see Kyrie and Kevin Love and those guys, do they step up in the moment, because that's where it's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Trust me, I don't want to cakewalk to a championship. I want to go slug it out with the champs, with the defending champs, with the guys who were almost the champs. I want to go through everybody. And Jonathan Knight made a great article last week about the demons of the Cavaliers' history of their franchise. You go through all of them. Knock off the Celtics. That's always been an interesting playoff opponent for the Cavs. Then you got to take care of Chicago. Then you got to bring it around full circle to the Spurs, man. You could knock off all the demons, but I'm with you, man. I'm with you so far. And matter of fact, you guys, real quick, for those of you listening, we're back to talking about the Cavaliers. I couldn't announce it earlier because I didn't get it yet. My buddy had to send it to me. One of the guys that helps me produce a lot of the cool things that you hear on the Sports Fix here, they do parody songs, and they've broke out their latest Cavaliers parody song here for the playoffs. And I'm looking forward to playing this one for you guys. Matter of fact, when we get done talking, when we come back from the commercial, I'm going to play it. But it's called Sugar. It's the Cavs mix by the Wine and Gold 5. My buddy Dale Officer helped put this together. And I'm going to debut that song here on the show when we come back from the break. I haven't heard it yet either, so I'm actually kind of excited to come back and play that one. I've got this. He sent it to me. He goes, "Here you go, man. Debut it on the show today." And he's done some pretty funny ones in the past, so I'm pretty excited to hear this one here and play it for you guys. We've played some of his stuff here on the show before, but LG, I'm fired up for that one tonight and ready to go. That's what I mean. This is April. Who cares about, as long as we're talking franchise-changing stuff, we'll talk some football. But, man, the Cavaliers are about to make all that stuff obsolete in the next couple of weeks because this thing has only just started.
Well, there's no doubt about it, J-Rocc, Daddy, and that brings up another thing about this guy from the Boston Globe writing an article saying the Cavs are the best team in Cleveland that could bring you a championship. And everybody got all upset about that, but realistically speaking...
Why would you who got upset about that?
Truth. It's the truth, man.
Yeah, why would I want to know who got upset about that, because that is a no-brainer. I mean, the Indians, to me, are a good team that's still getting better, and the Browns are a work in progress at best. So it's no doubt. I mean, that's not even like a stretch to say that the Cavs are the closest thing to a championship. Like, that's not even a stretch. That's reality.
No, that's the truth, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, it was all over Facebook, and all these people are making all kinds of comments that this guy's an idiot. But, we're in the playoffs. The Cleveland Cavaliers is a tough basketball team. They could, barring any injuries, J-Rocc, and God forbid anybody gets injured, this Cavaliers team, they just might be able to do it this season, which really,
I agree.
If you think about how it all started and the moves that David Griffin made are phenomenal. This guy deserves 110% of the credit.
He won't get it. He won't get it. Just like David Blatt doesn't get credit for being a coach, or you know how that goes. But you're right. I mean, that is, to me, people go, well, that's his job. Some people stick up for him. They go, well, that's his job. And plus, LeBron told him who to trade for. And I'm like, well, first off, they were targeting Mozgov 6 months before LeBron was on the team. They were trying to get Mozgov last year when David Griffin was given the job on an interim basis. So they were chasing Mozgov for a year before they got him. So let's not act like LeBron showed up and said, hey, I don't know if you ever heard of this guy in Denver, but they got a pretty good center, and maybe you can go trade for him. But
Blatt
to
the
not
kid
just but I mean, that was before David Blatt too. This was last season I'm talking about. Last season. Yeah, they tried to trade for him then, and Denver was holding out for a second first-round pick. They offered a first round, and then Denver said, we want 2 number ones. So they just kept beating the bush and waiting until they got the right trade. But it wasn't just that he made the right trades, but it was the timing. How many people would have waited until the trade deadline? How many people would have waited? He said, forget that. It's time to fix this team now. I don't need to wait. They're not going to be any different 3 weeks from now than they are now. I know that we need a center. I know that we need an athletic small forward to get out there and play defense. Let's go get him. And he went and made the trades, and he made it happen. And he did it without mortgaging everything. He did have to mortgage a lot, but that's what you have that stuff for. But he didn't give away everything. The Cavs actually have a few more things to use this summer when they want to retool the team.
Well, I give David Griffin a lot of credit in the one article I did last Sunday on the Cleveland Sports 360 website. I said the guy went out, he got the pieces to fit together. Yep. He did what he needed to do. He made all the right moves. Who cares what LeBron James had to say about it? The GM is the GM.
It doesn't matter. Look, LG, to me, that's a silly argument anyway, though, brother. And I think you know that because in the NBA, I say this all the time. The NBA, more than the other sports, because there's only 5 of them, and they control the ball. The players on the court control this league more than any other league, and the stars control the league more than the stars of any other league. Peyton Manning, people can say he gets rules put for his... Peyton Manning does not control what the NFL does. But if LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade and a group of NBA players feel strongly enough about something, they can literally make it happen over the summer. And that's the power that they have in their league. It's more than any stars in the other league. So that being said, of course, any star has influence over his team because it's the nature of the sport that they're in. Now, I don't necessarily like it, but it's the reality of it. So whenever people say that, I'm like, you act like, and I have to say this too, even when I was the biggest LeBron James is the Antichrist in Miami, at that point, you still have to acknowledge that. It doesn't matter if he plays in Miami. It doesn't matter if he plays in Cleveland. It doesn't matter if he plays in Atlanta or if he goes and plays in Timbuktu. The focus is going to be on him. He's going to get the credit or the blame. Everything. It's the way it works. It's not just a Cleveland thing. It would be the same way no matter where he is, you know?
Well, obviously it comes with the job, J-Rocc. A lot of crap comes with that job, the GM of any sports franchise. When things are good, you're going to get a lot of praise, and when things are bad, you're going to get dumped on. That's just the way it is.
You know what, too? You heard Van Gundy the other day during the game. He made a great point, what you just said, but about the coaches. He said about David Blatt, he goes, David Blatt, he's just in a terrible position in these playoffs because he'll get no credit, none, 0 credit for anything. But everything that goes wrong during these playoffs, he will get all of the blame. And I said, you're damn right about that, man. Van Gundy knows. He's been the coach. He's got the blame before. He said Blatt can get no credit and none of the blame in these playoffs. And he's right. It's going to be if David Blatt doesn't have an ulcer, this first run through the playoffs might give it to him.
Well, I got to tell you one thing, though, J-Rocc. Put yourself in Spinoza's position with the big 3 down in Miami when they were making their championship.
Spolstra, yeah.
Spolstra, yeah. What did I say? Spinoza, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know where we were going with that, but I'm with you.
But I got to tell you, man, I'm excited. I think it's going to be an interesting thing to see if the Cavs can close out Boston in 4. I certainly think that they can, and I'd like to see them move on. And like you said, when they take on the big boys in Chicago, it'll be an even tougher test than what we're seeing now. But I really think that this team has a goal set. I think the goal has been set for them by LeBron James. I think that each guy is playing Tristan Thompson coming off the bench and playing the way he does, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. The guy's hustling all over the court.
Oh, yeah.
He's making shots. I mean, this team, I can't remember a Cavaliers team other than when you go all the way back to the days in Richfield that had this kind of talent on it, J-Rocc. Each player has a pivotal role to play, and each guy is doing their job to the best of their ability now, man. Whether it's Kyrie Irving, Tristan Thompson, Smith, Love, all these guys have a role to play. They're all playing that role. They're all defensively better.
Yep.
I mean, I just think that it's going to be exciting to see. I know we still have a lot of basketball ahead of us. Anything could happen, but like I said earlier in this conversation, barring injury, I think some heads are going to turn, and Cleveland's going to be the focus of something special in the NBA this year, and I can't wait to see it, man. It's been a long time coming. This is a more mature LeBron James. This isn't the LeBron James that takes his jersey off before the game was even over and kind of gave up. I don't think we'll ever see that again out of this guy. His leadership on the court is invaluable to players like Thompson and Irving. All the young guys on the team have to look up to a LeBron James. Been there, done that. He's got the championship rings to prove it, and it's going to be interesting to see just what's going to happen with the Cleveland Cavaliers. As far as the Indians go, J-Rocc, Daddy, come on, man. These people are nuts. We're only 12 games into the season. There's 150 games. There's 150 games left to be played. Losing a guy like the catcher.
Gomes was a bad one. Yeah, absolutely.
You lose Gomes, and you got the guy calling the game, number one. You got the guy who can produce offensively with his bat. Just think if we had half of Johnny Gomes' offenses. I don't even know. Is his name Johnny anymore?
No,
I
that's
can't
his
remember.
brother. No, Jan Gomes.
Jan Gomes, yeah. Yanni Gomes, that's what I wanted to say.
I'm with you, LGZ. I'm with you, my man.
I just get so excited sometimes thinking about this Cavs, and we're going to see a championship maybe, J-Rocc, Daddy. We need something like that in the city of Cleveland. Think about it. Cleveland's getting back in the spotlight, J-Rocc. We got the Republican convention coming. You think back 20 years ago, that nobody would have even considered putting the Republican convention in Cleveland. Can you imagine?
Bro, the momentum keeps rolling. I mean, if you want to, look back to the beginning of the year. The Buckeyes started things in football, and as you said, you got the Cavaliers coming here, the convention over the summer. Hopefully the Indians can give us the fall that we're looking for, and you know what? I'm not even going to ask for more than that. We can deal with the guys in the new uniforms later.
We got 150 baseball games left to be played.
Yeah,
the Indians,
let's relax.
Let's go back to 2014. They were a slow starter last year as well, J-Rocc, Daddy. They made it interesting near the end, as we all know. Hopefully they don't take as long to get the ball rolling this year as they did last year, and hopefully we'll be a competitive ball club pretty soon. We're 2.5 games out of the wild card now.
I was just kidding when I said that. Come on now.
I know. But like I said, 150 ball games left. If you take you take an organization like the Detroit Tigers, who currently are 11-2, Kansas City's 10-3. Hey, anything could happen to any of these ball clubs, man. You just get one or two starters that get an injury, pitching rotation, they get an injury. You never know what could happen in baseball, man. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. That's all I'm trying to say. And,
LGZ, we hit them all, man. Great phone call, my brother.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. Keep up the good work, man. And when you talk to Dr. Football, give him LG's best, man.
You got it, my man. LGZ from Cleveland Sports 360. We touched them all. Touch them all time here on the Sports Fix. You know what? When we come back, I've got an exclusive for you guys. You're going to hear it for the first time ever here. I've got a brand new tribute song for the Cavaliers playoff run, a Sports Fix exclusive coming your way. When we come back, we'll get you all fired up and ready. Let's get it set for some Cavs and Celtics game 2. Plus, Buckeyes bringing a local boy home to play some hoops. We'll tell you who, and we'll set the stage for tonight and so much more. When we come back, exclusive, Sports Fix exclusive debut, Cavaliers tribute song coming your way next here on the Sports Fix.
When it comes to Cleveland sports, we go from
"You can't touch this"
to
"I can't watch this."
So listen to The Fix. It's easier on the eyes.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine. The most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's Fantasy Sports Superstore, fantasyjocks.com. SportsFix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Hey, everybody. Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys. Listen up.
No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, this is Antoine Jameson, and you listen to the Sports Fix.
In Northeast Ohio, nothing is given. Everything is earned. I'm coming home.
I'm hurting, baby. We need to score. We've been defeated since 1964. LeBron, we love you, and love, we need you too. Kyrie and Dellavedova deep in the queue. I've got a despair for that ring. Just wanna be wearing that ring. It was killing me while you're away. LeBron, we welcome you home. Just bring that trophy back home, and you're gonna make Dan Gilbert stay. King James, Kyrie, Kevin Love, we got our own big three. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. Our hearts have been broken way too many times. Need that win in Cleveland before I die. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. The Spurs, they got us, and Celtics too. Past final games had me feeling some kind of blue. But I'm not bitter, in fact, now I'm secure. Glad at the helmet, don't feel too premature. I've got a despair for that ring. Just wanna be wearing that ring. It was killing me while you're away. Sweet baby, LeBron, we welcome you home. Just bring that trophy back home, and you're gonna make Dan Gilbert stay. King James, Kyrie, Kevin Love, we got our own big three. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. Yeah, our hearts have been broken way too many times. Need that win in Cleveland before I die. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. I want that gold trophy. I want that golden ring. Time to redeem and replenish this city's tarnished name. I gotta have it now. Can't wait another year. I bleed that wine and gold for the Cleveland Cavaliers. You ain't gotta be afraid. David Black can lead the way. Don't give me that trash talk. Our time has come. We got LeBron James, Kyrie, Kevin Love. We got a big three. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. Yeah, our hearts have been broken way too many times. Need that win in Cleveland before I die. We're all in, and we need that title here in CLE. We're all in. We're all in.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix. All in. My boy Dale Officer sent me that. The Wine and Gold 5 and Sean McNeil with their Sugar, the Cavs mix here, playoffs edition. And that was a cute little deal there, man. And I'll tell you, they do a good job with those always. Through the years, they've had some great ones, man. I remember the first one I heard from him was when they took Ladies' Night and turned it into Grady's Night, and it was a great. The first one I heard from them, and they've had a ton of those over the years. We've played some of them here, but good stuff. If you guys liked it, let me know. We'll play that again here on the show for sure. That was literally, I had not even pre-tested it. That was live. He sent it to me during the break. He just texted me actually, and he goes, "Hey, I sent you that song." I'm like, too late. I'm already playing it live, so if it sucks, you're in trouble. But it was great, good stuff, and hopefully you enjoyed that. And there we go, man. That's where we're at as the Cavaliers stage is set. Game 2 coming up here tonight. As I said, welcome back to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc back with you here and looking to get done with this thing and get on with the evening, man. I've got to hit the gym, get the workout on in time to get ready for a double dose. Indians and Cavs, of course, Cavs playoffs game 2 taking center stage here tonight. 7 p.m. on TNT, Boston and Cleveland. Cavs looking to lock up that 2-game lead heading into Boston. Boston's going to try hope against hope here to get the split, but it's not happening. We'll talk about it tomorrow. The aftermath of Game 2, Cleveland looks to go up 2-0 in their series, just like yesterday. Golden State and Chicago both did as well. They held serve and took their first games at home. Also tonight, Washington looking to steal a second straight one here from Toronto. Toronto tries to tie that series at 8 o'clock tonight. Dallas and Houston. Houston looks to take a 2-0 lead in that one. That's the late game. That one will follow the Cavs on TNT here tonight. Indians giving you an hour of Cavs time before they start playing, thanks to the Central Time Zone. So we've got the Tribe with the 8:10 first pitch tonight, as we mentioned earlier with Jeff Gorman. Carlos Carrasco will get back on the mound, get back on the horse after that scary moment last week. Carrasco 1-1, 2.84 ERA on the early season. Hector Noesi on the other side, he's 0-1. 3.86 ERA for his early season run for the White Sox. Pair of righties on the hill tonight, and then tomorrow afternoon they'll come back early. Matter of fact, we'll end our show tomorrow just as Corey Kluber takes the mound for a matchup with Jeff Samardzija. Dan Wismar will be here tomorrow to talk about that with us, and we'll be able to break down the Cavs game, look ahead to that one with Kluber and more tomorrow. But hey, real quick, want to thank the people that were with us today, the callers. LG was in, Betty was in. Want to thank Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. And of course, tomorrow, as I said, Dan Wismar in the house with us, plus you guys, and who knows who else will show up. We'll keep doing all the things that we do. One thing I wanted to mention, broke a little bit earlier here, and I didn't get into it earlier on the show. Talking hoops, Ohio State basketball, they get a big body coming in. Micah Potter from Menor. Matter of fact, I called a couple of his games here this season. He's nearly 7 foot. He's about 6'10", almost 6'11", big boy, and he was a force all season long. Really helped power that Mentor squad there until the end, and he definitely had a great matchup there in the playoffs, but he came short there. Bruce in the chat room. Look at him crying some tears because I didn't mention his name. Of course, shout out to Bruce, who's always in there helping a brother out throughout the show. But Micah Potter, Menor Jr., he's committed here. He's going to take his basketball talents to the Ohio State University. That'll be a good pickup for them and a good local signing there. We'll talk some more about that, but I was honored. I got a chance to watch that kid play. It's a good pickup. He's got a good skill set. He's going to have to improve some things, the outside shot a little bit, but and he definitely has some athletic work to do. He's got the body. He's got the frame. He's just a big kid that's got to grow into that body now, but it saw some weaknesses exposed in that playoff game, but what was that? Garfield Heights, I believe it was. But anyways, good stuff overall, and I was really impressed by what I saw from him I think Ohio State's got a good one there. We'll mention that with Dan Wismar tomorrow too. Guys, tonight, what else do I need to say? Cavaliers, Boston, Game 2, 7 o'clock, TNT, national TV. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Indians follow it up an hour later. Tomorrow we got a ton to get into. Dan Wismar will be here. Hopefully you guys will as well for a hump day edition of the Sports Fix. And hopefully you guys dug my man Dale and the Wine and Gold 5 with their version of Sugar, the Cavs mix. Maybe we'll just, if they win tonight big, we'll just make that a lucky charm thing, and we'll play that every day. I think we're just going to play it once a day throughout the run anyway. But we debuted that one today too. Shout out to those guys, and look forward to shouting at you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, live at noon here on the Sports Fix Radio Network. We love you guys. Cleveland and beyond. We say it every day. Have some fun tonight. Enjoy the games, and let's do it tomorrow right here live at noon for the Sports Fix.
To you, but this is my own. Tatted it on my arm, that I represent that. Homie, I'm from Cleveland, I will tell the president that. Hardest, yeah, we been there. Made some of the greats here. Midwest best, this is MGK's, yeah. Shouts out to St. Clair, Uptown, yes, y'all. Heading to the flex, get it popping up with step flaws. Whole state monster, this the home of King James. We are not the empire, but this is where the kings play. Cleveland, let's go.
We rep our city. Blue lights separate the ground from the gritty. We're sick with it. Hood pass over any city that we visit. When you're from Cleveland, survivals are must on these streets. We hustle, don't sleep. Out here in Cleveland, Cleveland, Cleveland.
Okay, now here we go. Welcome to the